Welcome to Optimal Living Starts Here. I am Versandra Kennebrew, your host for this episode, and I am super excited to be back again here with you as we talk about things and actually talk about how we empower veterans and their family members to live healthy, happy lives. And the things that we have been discussing, oh my God, it has just been such a fabulous experience to hang out with some of my colleagues and experts that I have engaged with over the last 20 years as a holistic health professional. So tonight, I will be speaking with you as your expert. And tonight we're talking about breaking through intimacy barriers. And let's just see, what does that mean? I know some people are just kind of thinking, well, what kind of barriers might there be to intimacy? And some of those barriers are simply for one, I guess, sex or the other, male or female, but then other ones are across the board. So let's just jump right in and talk about some of the things that would be considered intimacy barriers. Let's talk about that. So, first of all, I just want to bring your attention to things like body image. As a 20-year veteran of massage therapy, one of the things that I have had I guess it would probably be an honor more than anything else to experience intimate, very intimate moments with my clients, generally in a room that's maybe about 10 by 10. And in this space, it's myself along with a client, and they are bearing themselves, before me on a massage table. And I have to say, the reason why I consider that an honor is because I recognize that your physical body is your personal space. This is the one thing that you can control, is this right here, right? And so when you start taking off clothes and stuff, you're bearing more than your soul. You're bearing this whole body that you have come to know over the years that you have lived. And some of us have come up with these ideas in our mind about our bodies. And so, as a massage therapist, that's one of the challenges that we would have to face, are those body image challenges that people may have, because for one reason or the other, some of them are made up in their mind, but other reasons are things that have been said or done to them or their body. And so that is one of the number one intimacy barriers that a couple might have. And tonight I'm going to speak primarily to couples, people who are engaged in intimate relationships. So just thinking about veterans and their families, and thinking about the fact that sometimes a person that has decided to live a life of military lifestyle, they sometimes they're gone away. They're separated from their partner, their spouse, sometimes for a few months, sometimes for longer periods of time. And so when that separation occurs, then in the minds of some individuals, especially those who do not feel very strongly about the attachment that they have with their spouse or partner, or they might have even had some issues, some trust issues that they've experienced in the past. And so those people may have a really serious challenge with dealing with that separation for long periods of time, even short periods of time, really, to just get real with it. But when that occurs, then the person that has those challenges, when they decide to come back together, then that person that's had the challenges may feel some kind of way about getting back to that partner, wondering and worrying about whether that person has done something like the word they use is cheat. That always makes me laugh. I mean, I didn't think that maybe 20 years ago, but at my age, almost 60 years ago, cheating is just such a weird way of describing what you think a person does when they decide that they want to share themselves with somebody else. I just think that's a word that's kind of crazy to use to describe that scenario. But that's what's real, and people are thinking, oh, that person might have cheated and da. So therefore they would have some intimacy barriers. Very, very possible that they would have some intimacy barriers because they feel that they cannot trust their partner. And if they can't trust their partner, then of course being intimate as adults and sharing body fluids and stuff like that, especially without some type of protection, I would understand how a person could come to those type of feelings, because it's not just about trusting whether that person is going to be in a relationship only with you, but you're distrusting what might be brought to you through that inner action and exchange of body fluids. So that is a worthy reason for having some type of intimacy barriers. However, I'm going to push over to the side some of the ways of working around those barriers. I'm just really identifying them for you right now so that you can kind of be more clear, just in case you've never ever experienced anything like this. You'll understand more why someone could have some intimacy barriers. So in that body image issues, you've got the distrust, you've got the issues that some people feel that maybe because of their weight, just because they may feel like they're a little heavy, or some people feel like they're too thin, then that issue or that thought around their body size could cause intimacy barriers. Can you see how that can occur? If a person is just really not feeling comfortable with even taking off their clothes in the daylight by themselves in their own bathroom, you can imagine how tough it would be for them to do that and share their body with someone else, an intimate partner. And it might take months, years for that person to feel confident enough with themselves to do so. I know of some people, just from my experience as a massage therapist, who have shared with me how they have never gone to bed without clothes on. They think that it's something really strange to even think about being naked in their own bedroom. Hey, but it's real. This is a very, very likely intimacy barrier that people experience. But then there are some things like physical abnormalities, if you will. I'll just use that as a broad term. And if I think about it myself and what I would call it, that wouldn't be something that everybody would maybe understand, but I wouldn't call it an abnormality. I just call it physical individuality, because we are individuals and our bodies are so different from one another. I mean, my God, you could put 100 women and line them up, and although some of the parts are definitely the same, you'll find different views of those parts. Some are smaller, larger, longer, thinner, all kinds of different things. Those are signs of a person being an individual. It's not an abnormality. I once knew of a person who had 6 fingers on both of their hands when they were born, and the doctor, thought they would have some challenges with dealing with people, their friends and family and things like that. And so they, let the parents know early on, listen, you need to remove those extra fingers because it would cause that person to have some serious challenges because of their abnormality. So this is real. I later found out by doing a Google search that this is not such an abnormality. There are literally hundreds and thousands of people who are born with, maybe 6 fingers or 4 even. I mean, and toes. But the challenge is, if you feel that you're alone and you are not like other people, you might feel abnormal and not want to reveal yourself to your intimate partner. Another thing, and I'm just going to put this out there because I'm an African American woman, and all of my entire life, I have seen people suffering with this challenge, the challenge of skin complexion. Some people have some type of barriers in their mind about that. Maybe, I know that some people that are darker in complexion feel that, someone calls them chocolate, that's a bad thing. I love chocolate, especially dark chocolate. But if you have been teased and made fun of and things like that as a child, that could be a part of a childhood trauma that a person is facing, and it causes them to feel as if there's something wrong with them, or even affect their self-esteem and have them believe that they are less than or not beautiful. I am just putting out some intimacy barriers there for you so that you can get a feel of what we're talking about here. And as we talk about ways that you can overcome those barriers, I want you to just keep in mind some of these stories, because they are deep and they're deeply embedded in people's hearts and their minds. And they're really self-image or body image, is really about self-esteem, or body esteem. Another one of the intimacy challenges or barriers that people may face, and that many do face, are those barriers that are based around religious or cultural beliefs. You have individuals who were born and raised in a certain manner, and they were told, this is the way that you should handle yourself, or the way that you should represent yourself out in the world. And so because of those beliefs, they follow a certain plan or a certain pattern of living and being in life. And then as they grow older and they decide, hey, I think I want to explore some different things. Well, those beliefs are still there. And so when you begin to explore those different things that may even have you, looking for a bikini to get on the beach and go swimming. Well, if that was not a part of the belief system that you were raised with, you may feel insecure, or you may feel that there's something wrong, or you may feel that, oh, people are looking at me and they're watching me and they're feeling some kind of way about me being in a bikini. Wow, what a way to have yourself trapped in your mind based on some kind of thinking about a belief system, when it just is really boils down to you being comfortable in something that would allow you to enjoy the ocean or the pool or the lake that you want to take a dip in because it's hot outside. It's that simple. But those beliefs will make it not seem so simple. And then finally, I just want to talk about one of the barriers that would be around traumas. Now, I talked about childhood traumas, and childhood traumas come emotionally, mentally, but then they also come physically. We know many people, male and female, who have been sexually traumatized, well before a time where they should be engaged in those type of activities. Someone decided, I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to do this and force you to do something that you don't even know about. Somebody wants to go and basically defile your body, and you not feel that you have control one way or the other about what they do, because maybe you feel like, I'm too small, I'm too this, and then that person's a big person, older, and they're dominating you. And so when something like that occurs, whether it's rape, whether it's molestation, there are differences there, whether it's just a joke, where the person that perpetrated the traumatic experience thought that it was funny, some type of joke. But those experiences can stick with a person throughout their childhood into adulthood. And then now, when they're deciding to get married, those traumatic situations can rear their ugly heads. So now we've talked about a lot of different ways that people have maybe been traumatized, and that is causing them to feel as if they cannot be intimate with their loving partner. So now let's look at ways that we can overcome those intimacy barriers. We're talking about breaking through them right now. And so I have to tell you that my approach is metaphysical in nature. And that is because I feel that I know that we are not only these bodies that we live in. And I know that the world that we see around us is not the end all be all. And so there's a lot more that's happening that we may not even be aware of in any given moment in time. So with that being said, a lot of what we are living is simply an illusion. So if it's an illusion, then that means that you can wake up and be in what is real or what is true. So when I talk about this, please understand that I'm coming from a place where the only real thing that is true is God. And when I say that God is, I mean God is everything. Even you, even me, God is all of that, because this infinite intelligence, this everywhere evenly present force that permeates everything. I mean, our thoughts, our minds, and the things that we see and everything around us, this is the one thing that's true. So in these intimate relationships, it is my belief that when we come together and look for the God or the essence of God within each other and share only from that space, then we break through any type of barriers that would keep us from connecting from a place of love, divine love. So if you can just imagine that for a moment, just imagine you even sitting right here while you're looking and watching this presentation. Imagine that you're closing your eyes and you're seeing the light of love just hovering over you, only represented by a light. And even with your eyes closed, you can see it because you know that something is illuminating. And now imagine this light just coming down and covering, encompassing all that you are. This light, this divine light of love, is literally a force that can shower you, filling you with nothing but what is true. So we know that what is true is love. What is true is God, synonymous. So when we come to one another from a place of love, then we can allow our guards to be let down, letting in intimacy, allowing intimacy to come close, because that's what intimacy really is about. It's about not only being close, but seeing into. I think it was Bishop T.D. Jakes that I heard that described intimacy as seeing into me. See into me, see. Intimacy. So as you think about that, seeing into your partner and your partner seeing into you, only what is true, which is God, then you can break down the barriers that may have had you in fear or just overwhelmed with fear or overwhelmed with feelings of inadequacy, feelings of not being enough. You can literally learn to release those thoughts and love yourself enough to really embrace the fact that you are perfect, whole, and complete, just the way you are, made in the image and likeness of God. So it seems very simple that overcoming intimacy is really about nothing about your partner. It's only about you. It seems simple, but these issues that people face around intimacy are very real in their minds. I know for a fact that when I had intimacy issues, it was all in my mind. It was based on the fact that I had, relationships that didn't turn out the way that I wanted. And then, everybody that I've spoken to that have had major intimacy issues, it was the same. Something that happened that triggered some crazy feelings in their body and in their mind. And so from that, they basically had this, created this fixed mindset around connecting with other people in this way. And so it's almost like, even if you had nothing but the best intentions when you were engaging with that person, they had already determined that you are out to hurt them, you are out to do something bad to them, you are out to call them names and say negative things about them and all those type of things, even if they don't exist. So when we're talking about overcoming intimacy barriers, for the person who has the barriers, is really simply about embracing your individuality. You are beautiful. You are lovely. Your body is amazing as it is. And if it's not, if you personally feel that it's not what somebody else said, but if you feel that it's not, then maybe you want to do something about it. That's one of the challenges that I had when I decided I wanted to be more sexy and fabulous at age 50. Oh, I think I just turned 57. Oh, I might have said 56 in a past episode, but I think I'm 57 now. But at this age, it's not even about what anyone else says. It's what I think. And because I have pretty high standards for myself, I decided I want to do something about it. And so I engaged in yoga, the practice of yoga, for many reasons. I mean, this is one of those, one of those practices that gets you so many benefits that is like, why not? But one of the main reasons that I embraced it is because it helps me to keep my body fit and fabulous. I feel good about myself, even with my clothes off, because I know that I've put some energy into keeping this baby fit, strong, and healthy. So if you're not comfortable with your physical self, you can always put some effort into shifting what your physical self looks like. But don't put the blame on someone else because of your feelings about yourself, because now you're putting someone else in bondage because of your own intimacy barriers. Another thing that you want to consider is self-love. So self-love is not just liking how you look or even loving how you look, because looks change. As we age, things change. So when you're in an intimate relationship with someone and you have been for long periods of time, and they began to think differently about you because of the changes, then that's their problem, because you didn't change. You and the essence of you is still the same. But for those people who are deciding that they no longer are feeling good about or excited about the body of someone who has aged and have had different experiences that cause their body to change, then that's something for them to do, is to go inside and figure out what is causing them this judgment. That's really what it is, judgment. We can make observations all day long about something that we see in a person. You might have observed that a person has picked up maybe 10 extra pounds. That's not something to complain about or voice in a negative way to a person. It's just an observation. Once you make an observation, then what you can do is do something that supports an observation to change things back to the way that was preferred. So why would you come to someone and say, you know what, you're getting fat and I don't like it, when the opposite way or better way of handling that would be, oh, sweetheart, why don't we go and walk in the park together? Have you decided that you want to choose a particular day of the week or time of the day that works best for us to get together and get out there and move our bodies so that we can feel good and vibrant and all that good stuff? Come up with examples of things that you can do to make things better instead of complaining about what you think is wrong. That's one way to deal with that intimacy issue. And then another way is, my favorite way is the art of touch. And that's because touch can be done clothes on, clothes off. You're still connecting. And what I have come to know is that, oh my God, touch is so very important to our well-being as human beings. It is so important that without it, babies die. Children don't develop fully in their emotional ability to interact and engage with other people. And adults, we just simply find a substitute. We simply go and maybe buy a pet or get one off the street that we found, lost. And that becomes our comfort, the thing that we touch and feel. Some of us engage in promiscuity, that's the word. They might engage in just hopping around in bed with multiple people and stuff to get that touch that they so desire, thinking that sex is what they're really longing for. But hey, it could be water, maybe you're thirsty, or maybe you just want a hug. But those are just things that I believe that we must learn to embrace as we deal with the challenges of intimacy barriers, because those barriers can cause great harm in loving relationships. And when there's some type of argument or something that causes the two to separate because of the tension or anything, something that's going on is causing that separation. When that happens, it's not easy to jump back to intimacy, because there's some forgiveness that needs to occur on both sides. Sometimes you have to forgive yourself for being the person who caused the problem or the challenge because you were just having a bad day. You brought it home, and then now you and your partner are separated and sleeping in separate rooms. Forgiveness. Forgiving yourself for being the perpetrator, forgiving your partner for not being able to communicate with you that their day was terrible. They're not feeling very good. And so they're not in the right place to really be engaged in that kind of way. But that is another problem all in itself. As I say it out loud, I'm just thinking about the issues of communication. I've been studying and practicing better communication and leadership for about 5 years now as a Toastmaster. And I do that because I am committed to being better at sharing my feelings and expressing myself and getting people to do what it is that I am looking for from them, So communication is an art. It's something that we must practice. It's something we must engage in and develop. So as I prepare to close, let me just state that intimacy barriers sometimes are physical, they're emotional, and sometimes they're based on beliefs and cultures. But the reality is, as I stated in the beginning, there's only one thing that's true, and that is the cause of all things, and that is God or love. And when we seek out God in every individual we interact with, as we seek God, even in our experiences in nature, and as I'm sitting here, just seeing God all around me as this building, with the hands that built it and put pieces together to erect this building that I'm sitting in right now, I see God in that. And it makes me smile. It makes me think good things. It makes me feel that I can bear myself to any and every individual. And if for some reason I feel that is not a good thing to do, I have the voice to say no. I have the ability to turn and walk away or remove myself from that energy that I might be experiencing that is telling me this is not good. And I have the ability to love myself unconditionally, even in the midst of the thoughts that I might be having or feeling about myself or people around me. So there you have it, thoughts on breaking through intimacy barriers. I invite you to continue watching episodes of Optimal Living Starts Here. Visit our website, theoptimalplan.com, and learn more about our upcoming retreats and our holistic lifestyle education programs. We do this in corporations and with the federal government as a contractor. It's been a pleasure to hang out with you again in this episode, and do enjoy your day.